Hi, this is a video about making a pouch for shooting arrows from your slingshot, so turning it into a sling bow. It's pretty long, but so I'll give you a quick summary of what the pouches are in case as you can probably skip most of it. There's one important tip for putting on these sleeves onto the ends of the pouches to protect them to protect the bands when they're tied on. But essentially, all it is it's 2 mil paracord or something similar. This cord's actually a bit tougher than paracord, I found. Um, but yeah, essentially for the flat bands, it's a single piece with a overhand knot on each end, cinched really tight, and then a rubber sleeve put on. That rubber sleeve's 2040 slingshot tubing, and then for the D loop with the wooden bead, it's just one single wrap around the cord for knocking your arrow on, and then a overhand knot, and then cinched up really tight using pliers, and then ends melted. You could make it without the wooden bead, so you could shoot it with a release aid as you would like on a bow. Um, for the tube bands, it's pretty similar really, but overhand knot in the end, cinched tight with a sleeve added on, overhand knot with both the cords together, and then just leaving one longer for the D loop and putting the bead on. Okay, yeah, I'll give you a tip about putting the sleeves on because I found a much easier way. But yeah, I'll just go through all the tools and every single step now. Materials are basically sort of 2 millimeter paracord or something similar. This is actually a little bit stiffer and tougher than regular paracord, but yeah, 2 mil paracord would work. Lighter for singeing the ends of singeing the ends and making a ball on the knots when you're tying the knots to stop them from slipping. Some sharp scissors, some forceps. That's for when you're putting on the sleeves. Some sort of 2040 or something similar slingshot tubing. I've cut up some of the pieces of cord needed already. Only real tip there is, you actually need a lot less cord, but don't cut it too short because you really want to be able to cinch up the knots really tight. Okay. A couple of pliers for pulling the knots tight, some rulers, and then some beads. Now these are about 14 mil wooden beads. They're actually lighter than plastic because you want to keep the weight down. And then some band tape for tying on these pouches at the end to your slingshot bands. Now I'm going to be tying them on to some 1.2 mil thick bands, and I'm going to they're tapered 30-20 and they're 195 millimeters long, and I'm also going to try some 1.2 tapered 26-20, also 195. Okay. Yeah. All right. If you didn't have the band tape as an alternative, you can actually use just some thin zip ties. But yeah, band tapes are a bit nicer. Yeah, earlier on I was doing some shooting, but with just these 1 mil bands, and I was working out sort of the active band length needed. So with the arrows I've been shooting today, to allow it, especially for when you're shooting at fish with slightly longer fishing arrows, but you still want to leave plenty of the arrow tip in front of the guide. And find out you really only need about an active band length of about 15 centimeters. But yeah, I've got a few I need a few extra centimeters to fit it on the slingshot. So yeah, so I included like in total 19.5 centimeters was what I needed. Yeah, a couple of these are actually the main two that I've been testing out so far. This was another one I tied for using with tubes to start with, but a bit of a pain putting on the longer pieces of rubber sleeving. It's basically tied with a couple of perfect loop knots. I'll just show you those on a. So 2 perfect loop knots tied so that the tag ends would each face each other, and then this one I just tied a top knot just as a sort of an experiment. But yeah, wasn't using this for shooting because this is really thick cord, just to test out. So the probably the most important tip is about how to get the sleeves on. Okay, so so this pouch is for tying onto a flat band, and it's actually very simple. Just a couple of half hitches, sleeves added on, and then the D loop added with a basically just wrapping it around the sort of main line, and then a half hitch. So very simple, and then melting the tag ends so that it won't actually slip at all. Okay. And yeah, for the tubes, yeah, it's very similar. Half hitch and then pull really tight, sleeves, and then yeah, a couple of knots with the D loop. Now I did try one other option for tying these on the D loops, similar to as you would tie a D loop on a bow, but yeah, and that's basically two cow hitches, tied the opposite way around. But the issue I found with that was that on a bow, obviously you're only pulling the cord to about 45 degrees, so it still sits okay. But on a slingshot, you're pulling it to almost 90 degrees, so that knot doesn't sit well. So yeah, I didn't like that design. So yeah, so this, yeah, just overhand knot basically, I think it's the best. Now you might find, depending on the nock on your arrows, you might need to put on some serving thread in between here. But yeah, just quickly show you the most important tip, and yeah, you can probably figure out the rest for yourself. The key thing that I found with them was actually trying to put on the sleeves. So what I was doing previously, I'd tie the knot, get some pliers, cinch it up really tight using the pliers. Okay, cut the tag end off a bit. So you've got, now you could probably skip the sleeve, but I think it's nicer with the sleeve and the bands will last longer. But yeah, essentially, yeah, that knot's not going to go anywhere now that you've sort of melted the end down into it. But yeah, what I was doing before with the sleeves was I'd fit it onto the forceps, and then get the work the band inside, and then I'd slowly work the sleeve off with my fingers. But it'd get pretty annoying. It's pretty awkward. After you've made a few, your fingertips start to get a bit sore. But yeah, simplest option is actually to put the sleeve on before you do the knot. Okay, that's probably the most important tip. So just slide it on before you've tied the knot. Okay. It still seems a bit awkward, but I guarantee it's much easier. So yeah. So just slide it on. Now then, to get it over the knot, all you need to do is insert the forceps here. Okay. Stretch it out. And then grab both and slide it off. And that is the easiest way to put on the sleeve. Yeah, that's probably the most key important point. Okay. So yeah, so make sure you put the sleeve on before you tie the knot. Okay, so put your sleeve on, then tie the knot. So you cinch it down as hard as you can. Cut the tag end, leave maybe 3 or 4 mils. So yeah, you really want to mushroom the end out of the I don't know if you can really see it that well, but yeah. Now that's really the key part, really. That you when you're tying this on, you want to make sure that the tag ends are on the outside of the D loop. So yeah, for the first one, pretty simple. Just basically you're making a slip knot. Okay, so this line is going to be your D loop. Okay, now you also want to cinch this really tight. So yeah, so use your pliers again. So yeah. cut your tag end off this one. Making sure you don't melt your D-loop. Now make sure you put on your bead before you tie the next one, and we'll tie the next one with it on the just a simple overhand knot. Now you want to make sure you adjust this so that you've got the right length, so just pull the excess through. And just make sure you've got enough of a gap between your the bead and the line that your arrow will be nocked to. A little bit more through. Okay. Right. Just check. Yeah. So I'll cinch it up really tight. If you've got some needle nose pliers, it's handy because you can get them in. And then, yeah. Pull that back through the loop. So that's basically it. I just got that tag end. And so that's basically it. To attach to your bands, yeah. Essentially, you're just going to slide it on, wrap it round, and then tie it on with some band tape. I won't cover those parts because you'll be able to do those. For the other style, for attaching tubes, a bit simpler. Get yourself one of your beads, put on the sleeves, put on the on the longer cord. So these you need a bit more, slightly long cord. So one's about sort of 25 centimeters, 28 centimeters. One's one's about 25 centimeters. One's around 28 centimeters. So the longer one obviously has the bead. Now all you need to do is just keeping the things in place. You're essentially just going to tie two overhand knots. Okay. Yeah, and use your pliers, grab both cords, make sure you don't get them in the wire cutter. Pull as tight as you can. Now with this one, obviously you're leaving it a bit longer for your tag end. Okay. Oh, this one, so you're leaving it longer for your for the D loop. So you're forming the D loop now. Just adjust it until you think it's about right. So I'll pull that one through a bit more, work that round. Actually, I think I can move this one in a bit too, the D loop. Yeah, that'll do. So get your pliers again. So cinch it nice and tight. You don't want the gap too small, because you don't want the knots pushing too much on the nocking point of your arrow. And then just remember to put on your sleeves. So put on all the sleeves. Then all you need to do is tie on the half. Then all you need to do is tie on the overhand knot on each one, and then slide down the sleeves. I'll tie them loosely at first and then get them roughly about the same. Get them roughly in the same position, cinch them tight, and then slide on the sleeves. So I want to keep them consistent with this one. That a bit shorter. Yeah. So I'll tighten up this first one. And using the pliers. And then make sure I get all of these in the same position. Yeah. Okay. So you want them all as even as possible. We'll put those sleeves on in a second. So they're all nice and even. So yeah, just cut the tag ends, melt them down. And yeah, just slide the sleeves over. Just work the knot inside. That's the one. It's a little bit tricky because the camera's right in my face. Right. And yeah, that's it. So yeah, so for the this style, yeah, you're just wrapping your flat band around it, tying it with band tape or zip tie, and then with these ones for your with like 30-60 or 40-70 tube, you're threading it in. It's a bit tricky, but you'll get it in after a while. You thread it in a bit farther, and then yeah, you're going to just either zip tie or use your band tape there. So that's one of them tied on. Did quite a few extra loops with the wraps with the band tape, around 8 to 10 wraps. Only thing to watch out for when you're tying them on, you want to make sure that they're even when you've tied them on, and that you want to tie it so that they are facing each other. So a bit like, you know, if you're tying a through the fork band and pouch. So yeah, so the bands should face each other, and that's basically it. Okay, if you're trying, yeah, good luck. Pretty easy, really. It just takes a little bit of patience and minimal materials, really. Thanks. Right.